So now we're on to movie number 3. This is a movie I'd actually been wanting to see for many years. This is Josef von Sternberg's An American Tragedy. So An American Tragedy is the original film adaptation of Theodore Dreiser's novel An American Tragedy from 1925, most famously done as A Place in the Sun in 1951 with Monty Clift and Shelley Winters and Liz Taylor. Now, apparently, there was a Eisenstein treatment that was supposed to be like bajillion hours long, that Dreiser was more in favor of and was very upset about this 31 adaptation. And I gotta say, for not probably the same reasons as Dreiser, I was kind of a little let down by this as well. This was made during von Sternberg's like amazing 7-film run with Marlene Dietrich. Like, basically you had Blue Angel 1930, Morocco 30, Dishonored 31, American Tragedy in the middle, Shanghai Express 32, Blonde Venus 32, Scarlet Empress 34, Devil's a Woman 35. So in the middle of all that Dietrich, you have this American Tragedy film. This is why I really wanted to see it. I'm like excited. I love A Place in the Sun. I love von Sternberg. I love his silence, like Dogs of New York and The Last Command and Underworld. Like, he's a great, fluid, beautiful, aesthetically pleasing filmmaker. You get to this American Tragedy, and like, it's talk about American Tragedy is that this film is boring and not visually stunning, and it stands out like a sore thumb from the rest of von Sternberg's filmography. It was kind of a bummer, except the part of the film with Sylvia Sydney. So there's a few aspects at the very beginning that are fluid and beautiful and filmed like you expected von Sternberg to do, and then there's these outdoor scenes with Sydney that are great, but unfortunately she's only in maybe a total of 45 minutes of the whole film, something like that. And after you're gone with her, after you're not like using her face and nature and all these things to tell this beautiful story, and you're stuck with this like really whiny version of the protagonist, the rest of the film is just boring. The stuff with Frances D, like, there's no chemistry. I don't understand why you would go with Frances D over Sylvia Sydney. I get that it's supposed to be this like he's this money hungry guy, but they don't set up this luxury life enough the way they do in A Place in the Sun, where you're like, not only do you get Liz Taylor, you get like really cool parties and like, you know, water skiing. They don't set up the aspirational lifestyle, so it doesn't, and they don't have any chemistry, and so it doesn't make any sense. And then the freaking trial scenes go on forever, and they're boring, really boring. However, the district attorney was played by Irving Pitchell, who directed the film I watched earlier today, Happy Land. So everything is connected. So it was disappointing. It's not a terrible film, and especially the stuff with Sylvia Sydney is definitely worth watching. But in comparison to both A Place in the Sun and the rest of von Sternberg's work, especially in this early sound era, because like there are lots of films from the early sound era that are rough. But von Sternberg is one of the few directors who I thought had transitioned from silence to sound quite effortlessly and still made pitch perfect films. But then you watch this one and you're like, this was rough. And as someone said on Twitter, it plods. And usually von Sternberg's films, they fly. And you get so invested in the characters. And the only character you get invested in this film version is Sylvia Sydney's Roberta. She's the only character that you give any cares about. Apparently Dreiser like really disliked this version of the film and like sued Paramount. And I was reading about the plot of the book. I haven't read it, but I just added it to my Amazon wish list because they re-released it. Yay. And it's very long and very much more complicated than either of these film versions show, according to what I've now spoiled for myself by reading on Wikipedia. So I wonder what like a real, like, honest, like, not honest, but real, like, true to the story adaptation, like if you did like a 7 hour like masterpiece theater adaptation of An American Tragedy, would it be a would you actually see his moral downfall? Because the point Dreiser was trying to do was that this moral downfall happened so subtly that he didn't realize this was happening to him until it happened. And you get that a little bit with A Place in the Sun, where you start to see Monty Clift's character sort of lose his grip on what is right. Um, but in this one, he's a prick from the beginning, and you never see him as a good person who slides slowly into this terrible person who would let someone drown. So just not a successful film. That said, it has a really bitchin' poster. Like, look up the poster. Only the film were as good as the poster. Poster is an A+ poster. So this was Josef von Sternberg's An American Tragedy. You can watch it on Watch TCM, and I don't think it's on DVD. So I'm glad that I watched it. I'm glad I can check it off my list of Sylvia Sydney films and Josef von Sternberg films, and now I can go read An American Tragedy and have these two film versions floating around in my head when I read it. But this was definitely a miss for me. So, yes, Josef von Sternberg's American Tragedy, 1931.